What's up, everyone? It's your host, Peter Vryonis, back with another episode of the Press Box Hat Trick. Happy Father's Day to all the great dads out there, and especially mine, who joins me today. Thanks for being here, Dad.
Peter, thank you for having me. This is a thrill. I've been waiting for this day. It was a great Father's Day week. You took me out to a beautiful dinner at Tripoli Restaurant, which you let me pick. Some of the best Greek food in Laval and the Montreal area. We had a good time.
Yeah, you got one day a year, so you got to enjoy it.
That's pretty much it. Right?
But seriously, fathers are a lot of times are unsung heroes, and I really appreciate that. There's been a ton of great father-son moments, father-kid moments, whatever you want to call it, throughout the years in professional sports. But the one that stuck out to me was when Ken Griffey Sr. and Ken Griffey Jr. went back-to-back. They hit back-to-back home runs in the same major league game. So we're going to show that clip right now. I'm going to cut right to it.
Well, he's helping it inch back up there now. Well hit to center field. Devon White going back. Gone! A two-run home run.
And he can still hit anybody's fastball.
An instantaneous 2-0 Seattle lead. And he hits one well to left center field. Dante Bichette. Back-to-back home runs.
That was obviously a great father-son moment.
Oh yeah, did you see his father's face?
Yeah.
I mean, this was a professional baseball player for years and years. I'm sure he hasn't smiled like that. Sure, his son showed him up, but in a good way, you know what I mean?
For sure. I mean, we also did the same thing in the same softball game, but I didn't see that on SportsCenter for whatever reason. But
well, Pete, I mean, it was a proud moment for me, that too, and I probably had the same type of smile that Ken Griffey Sr. had when you did it, and yeah, sure, those are proud moments, those are great.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, whether you're a Hall of Famer as a dad or whether you're just, an average Joe, you always want to see your kid be better than you, and you could see the smile, you could see the happiness on his face, and that's what it's all about. But there have been so many father-kid duos over the years, so many great ones as well. Most notably, we're going to give you 8. Ken Griffey Sr. and Ken Griffey Jr., Bobby and Brett Hall, who are the only players to both make the Hall of Fame, the only father-son duo to make the Hall of Fame, any Hall of Fame. Which is pretty unbelievable, right?
And it's nice that it's in hockey, being Canadian and everything. It's no other country could say it. I mean, they're both Canadian guys, so it's great.
Exactly, for sure. You also have Felipe and Moise Alou, who have a special place in your heart, right?
Yeah, that's right, because I got to meet Felipe at a coaching clinic, or when I was coaching you, and I asked him the question, how is it coaching your son? And he gave a lot of insight points, like when he was growing up, his son used to listen to him and everything like that. But now that he's a pro, he had to realize that, he has a voice. And not only was he a pro, Moise was one of the better players on the Expos, if one of the best players. So his voice was very important on the team, and that's how it gets when you get older. The players, you kind of stop coaching them and just really manage them more, and try and make them a team, instead of they're individual. I mean, you can only help their hitting so much and stuff like that. They're already better than you ever were. So, it's kind of hard, right?
Yeah, it's true.
Moise, when he played here, and Felipe coaching, it was a thrill. And these guys were 2 legit guys that we had in the Expos,
Yeah, definitely. I mean, also to touch on that point, if you're better than somebody, it's hard to listen to them, give pointers, and it's like, really, what are we doing here? What do you know that I don't know?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Well, like it's like even now to this day when I watch you play, I give you some pointers when I see it, because I'm watching you. You can't watch yourself. So if I see, I don't tell you like, I tell you if your mechanics are off, if you're doing something different, if I notice that, like, let's say, you're hitting and you turn your head and you haven't noticed, and, little things like that, little pointers, because obviously I'm a dad, but I'm a coach and I'm a baseball guy, and I know the stuff you're doing. It's just like when you play basketball. I tell you, you're a big guy. Play a little more inside. You like to stay outside and shoot 3-pointers. That was never my game. I was always the guy that could hardly dribble, but could get a lot of points and defense, and that was my game. It wasn't finesse like you.
Yeah, I think you're just jealous that I can play outside of 10 feet.
Yeah, well, I was always the biggest guy growing up. That wasn't the case with you.
No.
Now you grew obviously, and you're a big guy, and you just got used to playing outside. So if you want to be soft like that, that's all right. It's not.
Whatever. If you want to call it soft, you can call it soft. Uh, a few other duos that we have: Archie, Peyton, and Eli Manning. All great quarterbacks, especially Peyton and Eli, going to go down as 2 Hall of Famers.
Yeah. Their dad had a great college career, and he played for New Orleans Saints, but he played for them when they were called the Aints because they ain't had nothing to offer. It wasn't really a good team, so you can't blame him. But his sons are phenomenal, and they had a third. He has an older son too, who had uh, you know, a back injury that he had to get operation and everything, or he would have had 3 sons in the NFL. That's for sure, because he was really good too.
Yeah, it's definitely a big what if. There's also Bobby and Barry Bonds. Barry Bonds, I consider probably the greatest hitter of all time.
Yeah.
Even
it's
though a
too
lot
bad
of
the whole juice scandal. What are you going to do? But those days when everybody was on the juice, those were exciting times. You see, I got to live through those with Sosa, McGuire, and Bonds, and just ripping home runs. Those were fun.
They're doing things that you just don't see. Like they're hitting 70 homers in the same season. Barry Bonds' head grew 8 sizes. It's like, wow, they were literally superheroes.
But it was like, the video games you play nowadays, Peter. It was like that, Watching a baseball game was like watching a video game. Now I watch a baseball game and I tend to take a nap for a couple of hours and wake up at the end, and see what's happened. So
you and me both, that's for sure. You and me both. There's Gordie and Mark Howe. Gordie Howe, nothing to be said there. One of the greatest players to ever play hockey. And he also invented the Gordie Howe hat trick, which is 1 fight, 1 assist, and 1 goal in the same game. Happens more often than a real hat trick. So there's 2 more. There's 2 more father-daughter duos that I want to mention: Kobe and Gianna Bryant. Kobe Bryant, obviously one of the greatest basketball players to ever play the game. And Gianna Bryant, gone too soon. Definitely would have been one of the best to ever play in the WNBA, and would have brought a lot of notoriety to the league as well. And then finally, there's Harvey and Tamika Catchings. Harvey, who scored over 12,000 points in the NBA, and Tamika Catchings, who's probably one of the top 5 players in the WNBA right now. So to move on, I want to know who your favorite father-kid duo is and why.
Well, it's like I said. I mean, for me, it was always Felipe and Moisey. I mean, for me, that's when you can meet someone and you could see them, and the great things they did here in Montreal. I mean, it touches, it's close to your heart. And, you could tell, like, I mean, when Moisey broke his ankle, that game that he had, and, I mean, his father's on the bench, I mean, those things are like, you feel like it's your son, and it's kind of like it touches the heart. There's been many great ones and phenomenal father-son combos, and it's great when you see it. It's just great when you see it, and you have, there's going to be many more in the future. Like I mean, who knows what the future lies. You're going to see. You're going to say, hey, I used to watch his father and stuff, just like I'm doing, right? And, I mean, like the guys in the Blue Jays, the Guerreros, Bichette, and Biggio. Yeah, I watched all their dads play. That was my time. And it's really fun to see the kids. And not only, they're good. I mean, they're really good players. I just hope Vladdy Jr. learns English like his father never did, all those years, but I hope he learns English so people could talk to him in English, and I mean, it's the modern era. I think he should do it, living in Toronto and stuff like that. He shouldn't walk around with a translator.
Yeah, well, he does speak English to all his teammates. Like I see him joking around all the time. I guess he's just not comfortable with the media yet, but I'd love to see Vladdy because he definitely seems like a character. So having him speak English and like he's always smiling, the media would be the media's dying to talk to this guy,
He's living the dream, man. What's not to be happy about,
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Now I want to ask you, what is your proudest moment as a sports dad? Could be anything. Give me one thing.
Like a proud moment with you?
Oh,
like,
I mean,
being a dad, like watching you play?
And anything. I mean, yeah, maybe.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, I was proud of a lot of things you did, I mean, like you won championships when we were younger, and I loved those championships when you were in like little mosquito ball and stuff like that. We were like pretty dominant,
And you were
and I
coaching
think,
me too.
sorry?
And you were coaching me too.
I was coaching you too, which, but having you, that year we won the championship when we weren't supposed to win it, when we beat that 20-0 St. Leonard team.
Yeah, I still remember that.
The little Huntsick team. And actually your buddy Joey, who Napoleon Bonaparte, who went to the other side with St. Leonard, and we ended up winning. And at the end of it all, you guys were shaking hands, and you were both the MVP per team, and you had a smile on your face, and he didn't, because you guys went on to to play in the provincials, and so many moments with you, and in my lifetime too, we had championships, and when I was playing baseball, and it was like when I was 15 years old, I remember in the All-Star game, we had a really good team, and we went undefeated until the last game where we were defeated. And, it was a thrill for me. I had a good series, and we had notoriety. We were in the paper at that time and on the radio, and people were cheering for us, and it was a big thing. So, that was my glory day, and that's pretty much it. But a lot of memories with you for sure, and still more to come. I still love watching you play.
Yeah, you were definitely there every step of the way for me. You still are. Even though I'm 21 years old, and
this is great now because you've become so good. It's fun watching you play and watching a lot of the guys I've coached play with you, and that makes me proud too to see. And now you're back on a team where there's quite a few guys that I've coached, and they all know me and stuff like that, and even your basketball friends, they're all, and I mean, they're real good friends of yours, all those boys. And when I coach them, they still call me coach and stuff like that. I like that, it's a cool thing, it's fun.
Yeah, you were like you were like the team dad growing up. Like everybody still calls you coach, especially in basketball. Like you would give lifts to the whole team. You were always there, coaching us, motivating us, and that can't be underappreciated for sure. Very
No,
under.
but you know, thank God for that. That was my fun. I love it, and I still love it.
Yeah,
I wish I could coach you now, but you know more than me. So what am I going to do?
Hey, well, I only know this much because you got me into it. So I'll give you the credit on that.
And one day you'll do the same thing with your children. That's for sure.
That's the goal. That's
Yeah.
definitely the goal. Now I want to ask you, why do you think fathers put their kids into sports? Is it to live through them? Is it to like live their dreams through the kids? Or is it really, because you want them to get into it and really find out what they like, what their passion is?
Well, like, for me, I mean, sports was my life. I played since I was a kid, just like you.
Yeah.
And, my dad being an immigrant parent from Greece, he put me in soccer, Not until we moved into the Park X neighborhood did my neighbor, Jimmy, who was an excellent baseball player, he taught me and your Uncle Jimmy baseball. And we got right into it. My dad didn't know about baseball, I mean, he was there always. He was watching us and he knew we were good. And as we grew, everybody knew my father too, but he wasn't a coach or anything like that. He was a man with a cigar. He looked like a coach. He looked like a football coach. He was a man with a cigar on the sidelines watching our games and shouting, "Come on, hit the ball." And everybody used to make fun of it. But it was, you think back and you go, I wasn't embarrassed by it at all. I was glad that my dad was there. Back then, all the parents didn't come to the games and stuff. My dad was one of them, And, I mean, when you got into sports, I was happy. I mean, I got you into sports and you loved it. So I was your hockey coach too, and I wasn't a great hockey player or anything. I was your baseball, whatever you wanted to do, right? That you liked it and that you excelled in it was a bonus. But, I think every parent should try their kids in sports. It's a great thing. I mean, you learn team, you learn your work ethic becomes different, no matter what you do in life.
Yeah.
If you've done sports, the team concept, and you're a leader. I was always a leader. I was always one of those guys, that, pumped up the team, led the team, and I was good, and I backed it up with good performances. You're the same way, and I think it helps your leadership, and it helps when in anything in life, I mean, it's all about team. When you get out there in the workforce, it's all about team, and like you look at your sister. I would have loved for her to get into sports. We tried a few things, but she was picking daisies in the field when she was playing soccer. You know what I mean?
Not
It was hard to watch. It was hard to watch, but then at one point she hated coming to your games after. So as soon as she didn't have to come to your games anymore, I mean, when you're a baseball player's sister, you're lost in the summer, right? I mean, it's all about you and your tournaments and your this and your that. We're traveling for you. She's there. She's got to be in the stand. So, I got to give her props for at least hanging in there when she had to, But when that stopped, even your mother too, who wasn't big on sports, but she lived. I mean, her brother was a big athlete and her father, so she knew about sports. She knew, but she was more about the men in sports. Now, I mean, nowadays, there's so many opportunities for women, and I encourage, the parents to try and get their children, whether it be a girl or a guy, into sports and see how it goes. Like, it's not for everybody, that's for sure, and some people won't excel in it, but if you could become like an average player and stuff like that, and like play when you're like, I know a lot of guys who play now softball and stuff, and they're having fun, and some guys that wish they played when they were younger, because now when they're older, they got no sports in their life, even though they like sports and stuff like that, So, I mean, it's not for everyone, but for me, if you didn't play sports, I don't know what I'd do with you. You know, I don't know. I don't know what would be next, you know? I don't know what else there is, you know? I like that you like to watch sports. I like that you follow sports. We can watch a game together. Now we can have beers together, you know, and stuff like that. It's a whole different time, but it's all good, you know? It's good when you're young, and now it's good when you're older.
Yeah, definitely. Sports has taken over my life for sure. I think I'm obsessed with sports. It runs my life.
Yeah.
And I think you're a little like you're sick of it, of sports a little bit. Like when you look at me, you're like, wow, this I watch everything, you know, like you
Well,
don't
you know,
understand it.
it's that, you know, I grew up with Montreal Canadiens as champions, you know. When I was a kid, they were always winning. Like
Yeah.
if you look at like Ken Dryden, the goalie of the Canadiens, he played 8 years. He won 6 Stanley Cups in 8 years. Okay, that was the kind of teams he had. He was a great goaltender, but those teams were just those were the teams, you know. And imagine like having 2 seasons where it was just a total loss because you didn't win the cup. You know, you could have had a great season. It didn't matter. You didn't win the cup. You lost. That was it. That was his philosophy. 6 and
How it
8
should
years.
be. That's how it should
6
be.
cups in 8 years. You know, that's crazy. You know, it's like kind of like Tom Brady. You
Yeah.
know, like when he loses, he's devastated. He's got to win that Super Bowl, or else what's the use of winning unless you win the whole thing? For a guy like Tom Brady, you know, or a guy that was Ken Dryden, you know, Henri Richard, who had what 12 Stanley Cup rings, 10, I don't know. He had the most ever ever an NHL player, you know. I mean, these are guys that don't lose. They don't lose.
Yeah, definitely. If you're not the first, you're the worst. That's my philosophy, and that's how it should be. That's how it should be. If you don't win, there's no participation trophies. Definitely not in professional sports.
Yeah, but you know, in team sports, it's the team, so you can't blame the individual. Like, for example, Wayne Gretzky, he won with the Edmonton Oilers, and he was the greatest player to ever play hockey in my mind. And you know, he has the cups to prove it and all the accolades. And then when he went with LA, I mean, he had nobody. They traded the whole team for him. You
Yeah.
know, he had nobody beside him, you know, and they still made it to the Stanley Cup, you know, against the Canadiens, obviously, when the Canadiens won. But, you know, you can't say, okay, he had one already, but you can't say he didn't have great seasons. He still led the league all the time, even with nobody beside him. In Edmonton, he was pretty stacked. So, yeah.
Now I want to ask you, how important is it to sit back and let your kid make their own decisions when it comes to sports? Because you let me do that at a pretty young age. Like, you never forced me to do anything. It was always me making my own decisions, and I'm thankful for that. So how important do you think it is to let your kid do that?
Yeah, well, I think, you know, the kid needs guidance, right? That's what I'm there for as a parent. I want to guide my kid the proper way. When you get to a certain age, you know, I mean, the guidance is gone, you know? I mean, I don't have to guide you anymore. You love the sport. You're good in it. You know how to listen. You've learned all the fundamentals. You've learned all the way. Like you coaches you get. You know, he's the coach, and you know you're gonna listen to the coach. If you got to say something, yeah, you're your own man. You know. Now that you're older, for example, you know, I mean, like look at your coaches. They stand back and watch you play. That's what they do. You know, there's not much coaching there other than writing a lineup. You know, I mean, they're not the players you're playing with. They're better than the coaches. So sure, man, they could teach you a thing or two, maybe that you're doing wrong. But you know, and as far as like for me, I think you know you're a leader. You're capable of doing your own stuff, and you know, the only thing I always used to tell you, and I still tell you, is if you worked out in the gym, instead of eating 50 times a day, and you know, I mean, like that meal at Tripoli where you took me on Father's Day there. You were telling me, "Oh yeah, I'm going to play basketball after what you ate." Jeez,
And I
I
did.
couldn't believe it.
I did.
You did?
I did.
You did. And how did that feel?
I felt we were only playing half court, so it was all
Okay,
right.
so it was a
I,
lazy game. I'm sure you shot a lot of 3-pointers that game.
I did.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I did. All right. You know what? Enough about fatherhood. Okay. Let's talk about what really matters. The Montreal Canadiens. Okay.
Sure.
They're tied 2-2 in their series right now with the Vegas Golden Knights. The winner of that series goes to the Stanley Cup final. I want to ask you, does it smell like 93 or am I pumping the tires a little bit too much right now?
Well, no, you know, I mean, we're right there. I mean, we're in the top 4, so we're there. We're right there for the taking.
Yeah.
Yesterday, I mean, it could have been anybody's game again, just like the other night before. I think the reffing sucks, but as far as like just to put a little perspective, I was there for the 86 and 93. In 86, I was 17 or 18. Went downtown, crazy time, the riots, partying, and then in 96, and then 93, sorry. Carey Price is looking a lot like Patrick Roy. He's focused. He's in the game, you know. He's playing lights out. I mean, that's what you need, right? If you're going to go all the way, you need a guy like that in nets. He's focused. You know, I could say I was the biggest basher of Carey Price, wondering overrated, this, that. But now if he plays the way he's playing, they could do it. They have a good balance of young and old, experienced and non-experienced. That kid Caulfield, you know, I mean, he's all over the place. Suzuki, all these young guys, you know, I mean, it bodes well for the future. But I think they have a chance, you know. I mean, those teams in that team in '93 wasn't a fantastic team on paper, you know, but just a bunch of guys, you know, Claude Lemieux, Leclerc, all these guys doing what they had to do, you know, stepping it up, winning overtime games, like 11 overtime games they won.
Yeah.
You know, that's all I was hoping they'd win yesterday. And I said, then, if they won yesterday, because then you'd say, oh, they're automatic in overtime, you know? then I would say, yeah, you know, but hey, look, they're right there for the taking. If you look at the Islanders and Tampa series, you know, that's 2-2 also. And those guys are battling it out. So it's anybody's game to take, you know. They could do it. Like, I'd love for you to see a championship in your time. I didn't think it would happen this soon. But
I hope so, too.
Oh, it'll be great to have. I mean, I work a block away from from where they would have the parade, so I would love it. You know, I could watch the parade from my office window for sure. It would be great.
Yeah. Well, I'm more of a basketball guy. You know that.
Yeah.
Obviously, I have to get into the hockey by default right now. But at least I got to see my Raptors win a championship in my lifetime. So that I didn't think would ever happen.
Yeah.
That I'm very happy that for that. The Canadians would be amazing. Like, I would go to the parade 1,000%. I don't know how big the parade would be because of COVID, but I would definitely make my way there. They would go crazy.
Crazy. Trust me. We're supposed to open up the city for La Fête Saint Jean Baptiste there next week. What is it? This week. This week. So after that, anything goes, I think, you know. And
hope so.
And how about our Greek brother Giannis?
Ooh,
he's through.
Maybe.
That was a big thing, eh? That was a big thing too. I'm glad for him because to beat a team like Brooklyn, okay, they had their injuries and stuff, but man, that's a big. You know, people would say Giannis can't go the next mile and this that. proud of him, proud of Greece must be going crazy, if he wins a championship, that would be pretty cool too,
Yeah, well, they're playing the Atlanta Hawks in the next round, who beat the Sixers in Game 7 last night. They definitely got a shot to beat them. They're the heavy favorite to beat the Atlanta Hawks. And if
they play like the way they played the last couple of games, they could beat anybody. It's just like that for the Habs,
Yeah.
Habs could do it too. If like they're playing hard hockey, they belong. At the beginning, nobody said they belonged. Say they thought Vegas was going to sweep them.
Yeah.
But they thought the same thing about Toronto, and they, in Vegas we didn't have to take out their best player yet, to win the series.
See what happens in Game 5. That might change. So I want to ask you: are the Habs getting robbed by the refs? I'm gonna play this clip right now, and you tell me what you think.
Sorry, if Suzuki and now he and McNabb go one-on-one, and that's not a penalty.
And you're right, there wasn't a whistle. He let all this go, and the period's actually over.
Like, how do you set a standard now for the third period? What's a penalty, what's not?
Now you tell me, how the hell is that not a penalty with the ref standing right there, right in front of the sucker punch? Tell me.
I'm telling you, like, even last game, man, what was that? They carved Perry's face, and they didn't call a penalty. Okay, it's overtime, but come on. It's not the 1970s. You know what I mean? This is ridiculous. I mean, these refs, and they're back-to-back. It's the same refs that are back to. I don't understand. These guys don't deserve to be reffing an NHL game in the playoffs. Playoffs? We're talking playoffs? Like, seriously, like, these guys, I mean, there's 8 refs left in the series. There's 2 series going on, and these are the best we got. Yeah. Got to overhaul the whole system next year, because, they say one thing and then oh, yeah, sure, they'll call it if you pass the puck over the glass. That's a penalty.
Well,
nobody
look,
gets hurt.
My thing is this. They were saying throughout the broadcast yesterday, like, what's the standard for a penalty? You're letting everything go, all the cross checks, all the hits from behind, you're letting that go. And the first penalty in the game that was called was a little soft hooking penalty. Like, how do you miss 5-6 calls, and then that's your first call that you make? And then you miss a ton of other big calls. It's like, what's the standard? What's a penalty anymore? I don't understand.
I know. The standard is if you leave in a stretcher, I think there's a penalty call. If you don't, anything goes. I mean, like, we saw it all year. Like, it depends who the player is. Okay, Suzuki, when you see that it's Suzuki as a ref, this is not Gallagher. Gallagher has taken 1,000 punches to the head this year without a call. That's one thing. Okay, you see, okay, well, it's Gallagher, he's pushing buttons, he's doing his own thing and whatever. But when it's Suzuki, I mean, it's just an offensive kid, that you're taking away. He's faster than these defensemen, and they get pissed off. I mean, he gets around them and stuff like that. You got to call that. I mean, you got to call that. You're taking away a part of the game. Like, if you see, like, in any other sport, in basketball, foul is a foul, Sure, there's some ghost fouls, some phantom fouls. But whenever there's a hard foul, that thing is called right away. You can't miss it, right? You can't just let it go. In football even, which is the toughest sport there is, it's interference. It's interference. I mean, they're calling it. Holding is kind of subject. But in football, if you punch a guy in the head, even with a helmet, you're getting a penalty. That's like hockey's hockey, but and especially like a first period call. I understand in overtime. Last time the overtime, the guy put his whistle in his pocket and called it a day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like you're 4 guys on the ice. You're four guys. You know, there's only 6 players per side, but yet you're 4 referees. You know, why even have the referees, man? Put in a robotic camera and they'll call everything. I mean, like, can't they do that nowadays? I mean, it's just not right what they did. And, you know, I mean, obviously it's against the Canadians, but, you know, it goes both ways. I'm sure the Canadians aren't that type of team. But if
No.
someone punched a Vegas guy in the head, they'd want it called.
Yeah,
You know?
but look, I'm not one to get into conspiracy theories or like the league corruption, but you got to think like a new team like Vegas playing in a city where sports gambling is, taking over and they generate so much money for the league. You'd think that they want Vegas in the finals and not the Montreal Canadiens with their 3,000 fans in the building, right?
Well, I mean, who's going to fix that? You know, I think in the years of
The
now with
past 2
Trump and
games
everything and the
been
virus.
unbelievable the past 2 games, the reffing. Like, I know you said it's going both ways, but there have been blatant calls that have not gone the Canadians' ways. I don't see any blatant calls not going to the Vegas Golden Knights. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Look, I mean, sure, but Vegas has been successful for years anyway. They were in the cup in their first year. They went to the cup.
They're a
But,
good team.
you know, no, for me, it's time for the Canadians. I mean, bring back tradition of hockey. What's the tradition of coffee? Who knows the Montreal Canadiens? Everybody knows the Montreal Canadiens. Try to ask, what's that Vegas team, their name? You know, the Golden Knights, only if you know hockey.
Yeah.
You know, but in any sport, any person you ask about hockey, they know who the Montreal Canadiens are. So I don't think conspiracy is it. I think it's just idiocy. You know, the guy's afraid, the ref's afraid, and you know, I mean, he's afraid to make the call. You know, because it might be subject to league review. But I think the non-call should be subject to league review.
Yeah.
And I think this guy shouldn't ref another game. Not even only in the playoffs. He shouldn't be a ref. There's got to be other better refs. I mean, there's a million hockey leagues out here. You tell me there's not better refs? I've seen better refs in Pee Wee than this guy. You know, come on. I mean, it's obvious. You know, I mean, it's but conspiracy. I don't know. I don't buy that. I don't buy a conspiracy in hockey. I don't think you know, hockey is baseball or football, and I don't think we're into that conspiracy in Vegas. I don't know how many people are gambling on hockey. Probably people that don't even know it's played on ice.
Well, hey, I'll say this. Gary Bettman's first year as commissioner of the NHL was in 1993. That's when the Canadiens won their last Stanley Cup. That's when they were last in the Cup final. Hasn't happened since. I'm just leaving it out there. I don't know.
Well, the Americanization of hockey started happening, you know, and it all happened when Gretzky was traded to LA.
Yeah.
That, to me, was a fixed thing, you know. He got sold to LA is what he did. Not traded to LA. He basically, the LA team came to Edmonton, and then they won another cup, you know, even without Gretzky. Because of all those guys they got from LA. They were some good players. And so, you know, when you say that, yeah, I think it's just a coincidence, that 93 thing. I don't know.
It could be. It might not be. Who knows?
I'm not a conspiracy theorist. You know, I mean, I got a lot of friends who are, and that are telling me, you know, don't get vaccinated and this, that, it's poison, and, you know,
yeah, that's a different story.
Yeah, but I mean, like, you know, conspiracies. I mean, we're living in the age of conspiracy because anybody can write anything they want on any platform they want, and you know, and anybody will read it. You know, that's why I don't go on the computer and search for conspiracies and stuff, because anyone could start a conspiracy. You know, rumors, conspiracies, all these things. I need some facts. You know, I need some facts.
Well, more
You know,
power to you for doing that.
yeah, if they say somehow, well, that ref deposited $50,000 in his bank account the next day, then we're talking conspiracy. Okay, when you give me that, all right, Pete, call me if you find that out. I would want to know.
I'll do some digging. I'll let you know. I just want to get your prediction for the rest of the series. It's tied 2-2. Just give me who do you think's going to win in how many games? Simple as that.
Well, I think game 3 to me was a pivotal game where Montreal won in overtime.
Yeah.
I said, and I'm gonna stay with what I said. I said to my friends, I was watching the game with my friends, and I said to them before the overtime started, I said, whoever wins this game is winning this series. And I didn't say Stanley Cup, this series. Okay. So the Canadiens won, so I got to stick to the Canadiens winning this series. Now, how long will it go? I think it'll go the full 7. I really do, and I think they're going to win in Vegas. You know, I think the Canadiens. You see, okay, so there are 20,000 people in Vegas watching the game.
Yeah.
These are the Montreal Canadiens. They're used to much crazier crowds than Vegas. Trust me. We're the craziest crowds there are. Always full, all the time, every minute. People before games, after games. You see what's happening outside the Bell Center. You know, I mean, it's a crazy town when it comes to hockey, this town. So I don't think the crowd's going to affect them. I really think that, look, I mean, Vegas already changed their goalie once. I really think Carey Price is going to step it up and just win us this series, you know, in the end, you know. And for the Stanley Cup, now it all depends, you know. I like playing the Islanders. I don't like playing Tampa, you know.
Nobody likes playing Tampa.
Tampa, I mean, that their goalie, their whole team is pretty stacked.
Yeah.
Islanders, I mean, you know, they got a good coach. They got a good team. They got a solid team. They're more built like the Canadiens. I think we'd have a better time with them. But I don't want to jump. But you know, my prediction, I have to predict the Montreal Canadiens will win the Stanley Cup this year. I have to.
Wow.
I want it. I have to.
Yeah.
We're so close.
You got to manifest it. You got to manifest it. Me too.
Hey, look, I'm a Habster. You know, I'm a Hab fan, and I always was a hockey fan, but I've always been a Hab fan. And right now, I'm not. I don't really enjoy watching other teams play in the regular season where I used to. I would watch any hockey game there was, and now I'm not that guy. But I'll watch any Habs game, and I'll. And you know, the regular season is soft. I mean, this is hard. Playoffs, it's good. It's good hockey. It's old-time hockey.
It's been great. It's been great.
But, you know, if the refs stop thinking it's the movie Slapshot and call the right things, we might be better off.
Yeah, I think both teams will be better off. Even though Vegas hasn't scored on the power play in the series, the Habs penalty kill has been on fire. I say Habs win the next 2 games, Habs in 6. I'm calling it, and the Habs win the Stanley Cup as well. We're leaving it at that. That about wraps it up for this special Father's Day episode. Thanks for being here.
I just want to show the shirt I got. Here. This is,
yeah.
Can you see it?
Yeah.
It says, I asked God to make me a better man, a great man. He sent me my son. So, you know, you have become a great guy, Peter, and I hope we can march at that Stanley Cup parade together. That would be a thrill.
I hope
and
so.
then we'll have another podcast. I'll be invited back if I'm good luck, you know, for maybe the basketball championship, whoever you want to win. But I really appreciate this, and I wish you the best of luck on this show. And I've seen a few of your episodes, and everybody watching this one, you should watch all of them. They're fun. They're good. It's good time TV. Is this TV? Can we call it TV? It's good time internet. I don't know. What do you call it nowadays?
It's good YouTube.
It's good YouTube. All right.
All right, Dad. Thanks for being here today and always being there for me. I love you.
I love you too, kid. And we'll see you soon.
Yeah.